Good morning. Today's lesson is the section 8.7, Law of Cosines. We're going to cut this up into two parts. We're going to do 3 examples today and the rest of the lesson tomorrow. Law of Cosines. Today we will learn another law that allows us to solve for sides and angles in a triangle that is not a right triangle. The law of cosines allows us to solve a triangle when the law of sines cannot be used. The law of cosines, again, can be used to solve triangles that are not right triangles. You can use the law of cosines if the measures of two sides and the included angle are known, SAS. The measure of 3 sides are known, SSS. The law of cosines formulas. To find sines, you take a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. B squared is equal to a squared plus c squared minus 2 times a times c times the cosine of b. C squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b times the cosine of c. Note that the letter of the side lengths on the left side of each equation corresponds to the angle measure used with the cosines. Okay, so you can kind of see how that is related. So note that the letter of the side length on the left side corresponds to the angle measure used with the cosines. Special rules for side angle side triangles. If you are given the side angle side and you are asked to solve the triangle, you need to do the following. Step 1, use the law of cosines to find the third side. Step 2, find the smallest of the 2 angles that are left by using the law of sines. Step 3, then add the 2 smallest angles together and subtract from 180 to find the third angle. Step 4, the reason you have to do this is if you use the law of sines to find your largest angle and it is an obtuse angle, your answer will be wrong. So law of sines, angle, angle, side, angle, side, angle. Law of cosines, side, angle, side, or side, side, side. Always remember that you have to use the law of sines or the law of cosines if you don't have a right triangle. You can use sine, cosine, and tangent when you have a right triangle. Here's a note. Don't worry about your rounding. If you're a little bit off on your degree measures for your whole numbers, this is just due to rounding. Okay, like I said, this video will encompass 3 examples. The first 2 will be using side, angle, side. Example 1. So if we're going to solve angle A, triangle ABC, so triangle ABC, we are given the side lengths to be 8, side length to be 13. We do not know C, and we only know angle 64, which would be angle C. Okay, so we're going to try to find this side C. If you remember back, previous slide, use the law of cosines to find the third side. Okay, so we're going to use the law of cosines to find this little c. So I've already have it listed here. So c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. So that would put c squared is equal to our a squared, which is 8, plus your b squared, which is 13 squared, minus the 2 times the 8 times the 13 times the cosine of 64. If you were to calculate this out using your calculator, you have 141.82. So you're looking for the positive side, positive square root of c squared, that's equal to 141.82. So by taking the square root of both sides, you end up with c is equal to 11.91. 11.91. Step 2. Using the law of sines now, let's input what we know. The sine of A divided by the side A, which is 8, is equal to the sine of 64 over 11.91. Okay, so we're going to take this 8 times the sine of 64, and that's going to equal 11.91 times the sine of A. 11.91 times the sine of A. If I divide by 11.91 on both sides, I have the sine of A is equal to 0.6037. Okay, it's 0.6037. Inverse sine function will give us the angle A. And angle A is 37.14 degrees. 37.14 degrees. So you know A, 37.14, and you know C. So the step 3 would be taking your 64 degrees from C and 37.14 from A, and add those two together, you get 101.14. And if you subtract from 180, 101.14, that is 78.86. So we have angle A is 37.14. Angle B is equal to 78.86. Angle C was given to us as 64. And we found side C as 11.91. Example 2 to get today. We have ourselves side B as 10, angle C as 73, and side A as 7. Okay, so this is A. This is going to be side B. And this is angle C. Okay, step 1, we're going to use the law of cosines to find the side C. So a C squared is equal to A squared, which is 7 squared, plus B squared, which is 10 squared, minus 2 times A, which is 7, B, which is 10, times the cosine of C, which is cosine of 73. The left side ends up being 108.068. If you calculate this out, and that's equal to C squared. Now, taking the square root of both sides here, you'd have side C is 10.4. So side C is 10.4. So now you have all 3 sides. Step 2, we use the law of sines to find the measure of angle A. Okay, so we're going to use the law of sines to find the measure of angle A. So sine of A over A is equal to sine of C over C. So the second step, we're going to input sine of A divided by side A. Side A is 7. Sine C is the sine of 73. And that is over C, which is 10.4. Okay, so we're cross multiplying, so we got the 2 ratios equal to each other here. So it's 10.4 times the sine of A is equal to 7 times the sine of 73. By dividing by 10.4 on both sides, I have the sine of A. Seven times the sine of 73 divided by 10.4 is 0.6437. And by the use of the inverse sine function, you end up with the measure of angle A to be 40.07. 40.07 degrees. So you want to put your inverse sine function here. This is your inverse on that. Okay. And lastly for this, so you found side C, you found angle A, you were given angle C. Now we need to just find angle B by adding the 2 angles together and subtracting from 180. So 73 plus 40.07 is equal to 113.07. And if I subtract from 180 degrees, that is equal to 66.93. So the measure of angle B is 66.93 degrees. So these first two examples, you were given angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. And they're the same format. Basically, you go off of this special rules, use the law of cosines first to find the third side. Then you find the smallest of the two angles by using the law of sines, and then the last angle is by subtracting from 180. Okay, that's angle. This is example 2. We found all of that information. Example 1, and now example 2 is down here. Okay, so we got 2 more pages and then we're done today. I might go a little bit over 20 minutes, so I apologize for that. But I'll go quickly through this one. Special rules for side, side, side triangles. So if you're given the 3 sides of a triangle and you're asked to solve the triangle, you need to do the following. Find the smallest angle of the triangle using the law of cosines. Okay. Step 2, then use the law of sines to find the second. This should say smallest. Okay. This should say second smallest angle is a typo. Step 3, then add the 2 smallest angles together and subtract from 180 to find the third angle. The reason you have to do this is if you use the law of sines to find the largest angle and it's the obtuse angle, your answer will be wrong. Your calculator will find the acute angle with that sign, and your angles of your triangle will not add up to 180. So the last example today is example 3. So we're going to solve this triangle here. We have A, B, C with sides 7 or 12, 9, and 7. So we're going to start out with this cosine of B. Cosine of B. And what I used first is I used the cosine of B, which is equal to A squared plus C squared minus B squared, all over 2 times A times C. Okay, so A squared is 9 squared plus 12 squared minus 7 squared is B squared. All of that is over 2AC, 9 times 12. So that brings you down to the next step. The cosine of B is equal to 176 over 216. 176 over 216. In the last step, you take the inverse of the cosine on both sides. You end up with the angle B to be 35.43. .43 degrees. So that's 35.43. That angle right there. Step 2, we're going to find the angle measure of angle A by using the law of sines. The sine of A over A is equal to the sine of B over B. The sine of A over little a, which is 9, is equal to the sine of 35.43 over 7. Sine, that gives you 7 times the sine of a is equal to 9 times the sine of 35.43. Now, if you divide by 7 on both sides here, divide by 7 on this side and on this side, you would have the sine of a, this cancels that, is equal to 35, the sine of a would be 0.74534, 0.74534. Okay, then we're going to take the inverse of the sine. So we're going to go inverse of the sine here on this side and on this side. And that will give us our angle. A is 48.19 degrees. So the measure of angle A is 48.19 degrees. So now you have angle A. So angle B, law of cosines, angle A, law of sines, and now lastly, angle C is, we're going to add these two together and we're going to subtract from 180. So 35.43 degrees. Then we're going to add 48.19 degrees. And that's 83.62. So 180 minus 83.62 is equal to 96.38 degrees. And that would be measure of angle C. So this example is when we had side, side, side. Side, side, side. And that concludes the lesson today. Hope you found it informational. Part 2 of section 8.7 will be on video 2. Thank you very much. Have a great day.